Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar for next 1 to 1.5 hours, where we'll be talking about the Union Budget 2017-18, which the Honorable Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, has presented today. Before I begin, may I request all of you that if you have got any questions, please type on the right side. Whenever the right time comes, I will be taking up those questions one by one. And I would have absolutely no qualms in accepting if some of the questions I may not be able to give answer. I will be accepting it at the right word go, but I will be trying to answer the questions to the best of my ability. I've got a presentation out here with me, which will be helping us maintain a track. But even before I start, I would love to have maybe a 5 minutes of yours, wherein we can, you can just share what do you feel about today's budget, and from there I'll be starting. So your first comments, I'll be more than happy to hear. You can type the comments on the right side. I'll be more than happy to hear your comments. Please go ahead. Your first comments, your first reactions about the budget. Okay, so Ashirwad Tomar talks about that there is relaxations in tax slab. Fine, Ashirwad, that's a good point. But what I'm more interested in knowing is what are your views? If you have to give budget marks out of 10, how many marks would you give me? Give to today's budget out of 10? 10 being the best, 0 being the worst. And in just one line, if you can say that, why do you think you are giving that much marks? So Rishabh Thagela says, please, sir, tell me about something relevant about today's budget. Rishabh, that's why I am here. I will try to do my level best. Ankita Sethi says, happy to hear that tax rates for first slab have reduced. All the IT software engineers and developers, at least 70% of them having less than 3 years of work experience, will fall in this bracket. Congratulations, you have just saved 12,500 rupees. Shubham Singh says surcharge is not supposed to be increased by 10%. So Shubham, it's the surcharge above 1 crore stays as it is, and for the income between 50 lakh to 1 crore, a new surcharge of 10% has been introduced. So if the effective rate till now was 30%, surcharge of 10%, that makes it 33%. Rishabh Thagela talks about there is a decrease in income tax. Yes, for the bracket of 2.5 to 5 lakhs. And so there is a net saving of 12,500 rupees, which is there. Prashant Kumar talks about it is not as much satisfactory for common man as it was expected. Prashant, you are right to the extent that it is not a populist budget. So there was a very big question mark going on whether it should be a populist budget or not. But I think somehow sanity prevailed, and this government decided against going for a populist budget. Ashirwad Tomar gives 7 to 8 out of 10. More funds to banks, incorporation of rail budget in wholesome transport budget. Okay, fair enough. Any other views, any other pointers? People joining every minute. I'm looking forward to hear from you people. What are your views? Again, I'm saying all that I'm requesting you to do is give out of 10, how many marks do you give to Mr. Jaitley, and just write one sentence. Why Ashirwad Tomal restriction on cash transactions to promote e-transactions? Yes, more than cash transaction of more than 3 lakh have been they have been banned now. Manish K asks what steps have been taken to counter the negative effects of demonetization. I will definitely be touching upon that, Manish, but the question itself starts with a premise that demonetization had negative effects. It has been a temporary phenomena. However, anyway, the first 2 slides of my presentation, which Mr. Jaitley has devoted about demonetization, I hope I will be able to answer a little part of that. Limit on election donation. So the anonymous donation limit has been brought down to 20,000 to 2,000. Is it a welcome step, or is it just a gimmick? So because at the end of the day, it's not zero. If I earlier I was showing that I am getting 19,000 from 100 people. Now all that I need to do is I will show that I am getting 1,900 from 1,000 people. The only thing which increases is my paperwork. Rest all remains the same. Satish talks about that. Can you contrast this demonetization with 1984 demonetization? I am sorry, Satish, this session is not on demonetization. We'll be touching on it only to the extent of its relevance in the today's budget. Prashant says no transaction over lakhs. So over lakhs is actually 3 lakhs is what it would be. Rishabh says, Suchetna says that the donation received from unknown sources to political parties will be now scrutinized more effectively. We all hope so, Suchetna. And that is where perhaps for the first time in the world, electoral bond is a new issue which has been a new thing which has been introduced. What it is going to be exactly, not the exact contours are clear, but because it means that there has to be an amendment in the RBI Act, and which the government is yet to spell out. Yeah, Shubham, the intention is noble. There is no denying the fact that reducing the limit from 20,000 to 10,000 intention is noble. Let's see how it pans out. I'll be waiting for just 2 minutes, couple of more pointers, and then I start the formal presentation. I'll be waiting for 2 minutes. For those who have joined in late, I'm just repeating. Give your marks to today's budget. Out of 10, 10 being the best, 0 being the worst. And give one line reason why are you giving this much marks. Go ahead. All those who have not shared their views till now, all that you need to do is give marks to Mr. Jaitley on a scale of 10. Say that what view are you, how much marks are you giving, and give a reason why. 10 is the highest, 0 is the lowest. Good step towards digitalization. Prabhaleen says absolutely right point, Prabhaleen. That's and that is when the Arun Jaitley talked about TEC. So the first is transparency. We'll talk about that. What else? Maybe last minute, if anyone wants to share any viewpoint. Last minute, maybe I will be taking just one more viewpoint, and then I will be moving to my presentation. Yeah, so Rishabh again talks about 1.84 lakh crore for child and women and child development. Yes, that's an increase of almost, I think, somewhere close to 10% over the previous budget, which is there, budget allocation, which is there. Okay, so here we go. And now I'll be just using the slides to first let you watch the slides, and after that I'll be coming back and answering the questions one by one. While I'm displaying the slides, I will also be reading out the slides. So Saurav Kora says BJP promised a lot for farmers in the manifesto in 2014, but not much included for farmers. I will answer that. And Rag Mishra said is the tax reduction for the 3 lakh range for starting to channel youth from Anurag. I don't think so. Suchetna had said a wonderful point that 5% exemption of taxes for small companies. Yes, it will definitely incentivize. The question is, will it incentivize enough? So thank you all for your points. Now, just bear with me a little bit. And I will be just showing few of the pointers and I'll be going one by one. Okay, so the questions before the budget of the day. First, will it be a populist budget or will it be a pragmatic budget? Will it be the populist budget or will it be a pragmatic budget? That was the first question of the day. Because Narendra Modi government till date had actually resisted from going the populist way. But midway into their tenure, the question was raised from all the quarters. Will it be populist? Will it be pragmatic? The views are open. We'll be discussing and deliberating it. If you ask my personal opinion, the government still has treaded very cautiously. It is not a populist budget. Obviously, the government was very much cognizant of the fact that it needs to, to loosen its purse as far as infrastructure is concerned, and that is where it has done tons of investment. It has increased like never before. Second was government steps to counter the effect of demonetization. Is it more concrete or is it more what I should say? Is it more on the emotional side? That is what, and this became all the more important because now it is pretty much accepted and acknowledged across the quarters that this year's GDP is going to have a dip. Question number 3. The road to Delhi is via Lucknow. This is the famous statement of the ex-Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. With the UP elections just round the corner, the question was, will the government open the treasury? Will it again resort to sops and sops? Question number 4. What happens to the rail budget? First time in the history of independent India when Mr. Arun Jaitley stood today, he became the first Prime Minister, first Finance Minister of independent India who had the privilege of presenting both railway budget and general budget combined. It happened for the first time in the history of independent India. Lastly, till a good point of time, the question was because of the unfortunate incident where sitting member of the parliament lost his life yesterday. The question was, will the budget be presented or will it be postponed by a day? The record shows that there have been 2 precedents earlier, and that is why the speaker ruled that the budget will be presented today only. However, as a mark of respect for the departed soul, there will be no session tomorrow. It will be adjourned for the day tomorrow. So these were a few of the questions before the budget. If I try to answer them one by one, my answer to them is government has still decided or has still resisted to be too much populist. It is still going by the pragmatic approach, good for an ordinary citizen of India, bad for the people who are used to freebies. Government steps to counter the effect of demonetization. It is still trying to bank upon 3 things. One, it has understood that digital transactions are the way forward. The BHIM app and few other things are a case in point. Second, it has tried to contain the damage, talking about that how most of the currency has been replaced. So remonetization is at a very high percentage. Second, it has said that the spillover is not expected in the next year. And the third point, which it has been very candid about, is that this was needed to flush out the black money for the system, and this is something which the people have supported wholeheartedly. Point number 3, the road to Delhi is via Lucknow. Will the government open the treasury? It did open, but yes, could it have opened up more if we go by freebie expectations? Yes, but it still desisted from doing that. What happens to rail budget? I think a good precedent which was set since couple of years, at least since last year, that no new trains were being announced, and the focus was on completing the task at hand rather than coming up with new and newer schemes wherein their completion was never done. Lastly, as you people have already witnessed, yes, the budget was presented today, otherwise we would not have been here discussing the same. Let's go back, and for this slide, whatever questions you have, I'll be more than happy to answer. Go ahead. Whatever the questions for this slide, please go ahead. For this slide, whatever question you have, please go ahead. I'm going one by one. So any questions related to this slide, either type no, or if you have got a question, say yes and type the question. If you have a question, just type yes, type your question. If you don't have any question, please type no. That gives me a heads up so that I can move to the next slide. I'm repeating. Ashirwad Tomar says no questions. Good, Ashirwad. Anyone else? Shubham saying no question. Good. Devraj, no. So I have all the... Were there any decision with UP election in mind? Anurag, the government is smart enough. The decision with UP election in mind was taken yesterday when there has been a talk in the economic survey that government is thinking about casting the social security net wide, wherein it is talking about salary for everyone. So that is what happens in Western countries, and what people said that this is enough to make the voters make the poor people look up to that. Yes, there will be a confirmed social net, and I would not be surprised if this is actually rolled out by the present government immediately before the 2019 elections. Shubham Kumar, can you explain why budget this year is being presented ahead of normal time? Shubham, the explanation given by the government is that when we talk about 28th of February, it takes too much amount of time in the present quarter, and therefore to ensure that the plans for the year for which it is being presented are kickstart right from the word go. That is why the budget has been preponed. Now, okay, Harshita Pandey has got a question: why finance and railway budget were presented together? Harshita, if you look at the railway budget, anyway, it entails some support from the union government, from the finance ministry. Therefore, the government said that we can do away with this colonial tradition, and there is nothing per se, and there is a complete expenditure which could be avoided, and that was the reason why the decision was taken. And there has been no it has been a unanimous decision, so there was no objection by opposition as well. Anurag Mishra, blah blah blah. Just hold on for a second. Devraj, you are right. You talked about universal basic income. That is what was shared yesterday. Just a couple of questions. Wait. Harshita asks a very basic question. Why did Vajpayee say that road to Delhi is via Lucknow? Dear Vajpayee was a pragmatic politician who knew that UP gives 80 parliamentary seats. Therefore, anyone who wins UP has got a very high chance of making a government in the center. Manish K asks criticism by opposition. I have not yet seen any budget in my life which has not been opposed by, which has not been criticized by the opposition. The basic thing is this budget has nothing new. This budget is a rhetoric budget. Mr. Rahul Gandhi was expecting fireworks, but as per him, it was a damp squib. Mamata Banerjee has said it is senseless, directionless, and all the less which you can think of. She has used all the adjectives to talk about this. Anurag said, will that not be a liability for aspiring country like India? I don't understand what is that which you are referring to. Anurag, please rephrase your question. I will be happy to answer. Kala Chamk asks, if implemented, does basic income replace subsidies or will they both be simultaneously given? The agenda is to remove and replace the subsidies and talk about basic income which is there. May I move to the next slide now? A word of yes would be great. May I move to the next slide? A word of yes would be really helpful for me. Will basic income, Anurag, if you look at presently also 3% of our GDP goes to subsidies. What that will do is, and do subsidies reach right people is a question. And let me also make it clear, government has not yet made the contours of universal basic income very clear. So let's wait for that. I've got already a lot of yes about moving to the next slide. So here we go. Let's move to the next slide. So let me give you a disclaimer right away. All the points which you see, I have directly picked it from Times of India website. I went through many sources. I thought this is one where it was beautifully captured. The first two slides, if I talk about, are essentially about setting the context and patting one's back. So here we go. The first 10 points as they go. India stands out as a bright spot amongst world economic gloom. Our focus will be on energizing youth to reap benefits of growth and employment. IMF estimates world GDP will grow by 3.4%. So even if Indian economy grows by 6.7 or 6.8%, it is much better than the world average. Obviously, that's a big question mark because it is coming on the back of a 7.5% growth. Mr. Jaitley also was prudent to highlight the challenges which are facing the country today. So he talked about oil prices, which are again steadily going up, rising dollar and volatile commodity prices. With Mr. Trump there at White House, the volatility, as all would agree, is going to increase only. Number 5 was again patting one's back and pleasing his cabinet colleagues and Prime Minister that India is seen as engine of global growth. We have witnessed historic reform in last 1 year. Now coming to demonetization, I think this slide is almost all devoted and dedicated to demonetization. Demonetization is a bold and decisive measure. For many decades, tax evasion was a way of life for many. Again, trying to touch the honest versus dishonest chord. Again, trying to help people get the feel that whatever troubles you faced, while we are sorry for that, but this was necessary because that is what a surgeon does as well. Next point, note ban is expected to have only a transient impact on economy. And point number 10, not expected to spill over to next year. which is about containing the damage. If people are getting extra paranoid, they need not be. It is very much under control. The pace of remonetization has picked up. If I remember the data given by Mr. Urjit Patel, the RBI governor, he talked about almost 92% of the currency being replenished. And no budget is ever complete without fee of the courts of the father of the nation. And that is what Mr. Jaitley said. A capable lawyer that he is, a right cause never fails. Again, please understand point number 6, point number 8. It is trying to touch the common man and give them the impression that it was in the larger interest, for the larger cause, that all these sufferings had happened. Don't worry, we are there with you, but this was necessary to point out the guilty and punish them. Point number 7, 9, and 10 is an assurance to the industry that the effect was temporary, and going ahead, it will have a much cleaner, it will help us have a much cleaner economy, and therefore it's not going to spill over. So whatever dip we are seeing in the GDP, that's going to be temporary. Once again, before I return to questions, I am taking you back through the 2 slides. Please read it out yourself for 30 seconds. I hope it is visible to all. Please read it out for 30 seconds. The next 5 pointers about demonetization. I hope all of you have read by now. I am going back now to the main screen for questions and answers. Go ahead. Questions on these 2 slides. Questions on these 2 slides. Questions on these 2 slides, the 10 pointers which we have talked about. Please go ahead, ask. Any questions on the 2 slides which I've just now shared? If you have questions, say yes and type the question. If you don't have any question, just say no. It will help me paste the webinar accordingly. If you have a question, say yes. If you don't have a question, Devraj asks, that are there any pointers to say that the effect of demonetization won't spill over to next year? Yes, the pointers which they have talked about is, since the currency, 92% of it is already back into the system. So whatever impact it had, it was temporary, and now there is no lack of currency. In fact, if you people are aware, just 2 days ago, the RBI has removed all the restrictions as far as ATM withdrawals and current account withdrawals are concerned. However, the saving account limitation still exists, but I think that's also a matter of time before it will go away. Ashirwad talks about, what about the survey that SME market lost 40% of jobs and was hit severely due to demonetization? What is done for this in the budget? Nothing has been done, Ashirwad. They are very clear about that this was a temporary phase and people had to suffer with it. They acknowledge, but perhaps it was for the right cause. So there has been no specific step which you are talking about. So it is about no, no, no. Can I have 3-4 more no's or yeses with questions which helps me decide? If you can go ahead. Harshita says no. Okay. Anba says no. Shubham says, if you consider world economic conditions, what can be said about foreign trade and manufacturing as US is becoming... Shubham, again, please understand one small thing. Let's keep this webinar to the limit of budget. If we go into all the economic topics, we'll not be able to do justice. So my absolute request to you would be that as of now, please point your questions only or direct your questions only towards the budget. Now, Akshay asked a very interesting question. Yes, any measures suggested to mitigate the risks impending Indian economy as mentioned in the slide? Akshay, the answer is yes. On the recent visit of Crown Prince of UAE to India, they have agreed to go for a tie-up to fill the critical crude oil storage. They want to make it for 10 days at this point of time. That is in Vishaka, Patnam primarily, but this budget also talks about that there will be critical crude oil storages which would be set up in this your Odisha and Rajasthan. So what that is going to do is it is going to give you again the country it is going to give a buffer of stock which may be rising up to 30 days. So in case of extreme emergency or extreme volatility, that would be a stock which can be used to buffer out. Harshmi Singh, are there any numbers indicating the amount of black money collected? Harshmi, there is no such mention in the budget. Shubham says India GDP was projected to be 7%. Yes, there are different viewpoints. So it is somewhere expected to be between 6.7 to 7, whichever is true. Okay. Any more questions, or can I have 5-6 continuous no's or yeses? That will help me again. Prabhalin says no. Anyone else having a question? Go ahead. I think Pradeep has joined just now. Welcome, Pradeep. Ashita says no. Okay, Tanu says no. Shubham says no. I need 3 more no's on the trot. I need 3 more no's on the trot, and that is when I move to the next slide. Naman says no. Dhruv Gupta says no. Mani says no. Suchetna says no. Akshay says no. Great. So I have quite a few no's. Therefore, here I move to the next slide. Here you go for the next slide. It talks about budget preponement to February 1 will give sufficient time to departments to implement government schemes, and it will start right from the word go, unlike the previous years where it took almost first quarter to roll out and implement the government schemes. The budget agenda is transform, energize, and clean India, TEC India. Please remember, this is an acronym which you can use in your interviews, which you can use in your WAT, which you can use in your case discussion, which you can use in your GD. The budget agenda is transform, energize, and clean India, TEC. Our approach in preparing the budget is to spend more on rural areas. ये सरकार गरीबों, शोषितों, वंचितों, किसान, मजदूर और नौजवानों की सरकार है. At least something of this nature which is being talked about. Infrastructure spending was definitely expected to go up, which the government has done. Agriculture sector is expected to grow at 4.6%, largely due to the good monsoon this year. Agriculture expenditure has been targeted at 10 lakh crore. There has been 36% increase in FDI flow. Forex reserves at $361 billion in January, which is enough to cover 12 months needs. An interesting comparison would be when you go back to 1991, when India didn't have even 10 days of forex reserves. And that is when they had to pawn gold at the World Bank. And then came the super hit jodi of Mr. Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh, came the phase of liberalization. The rest, as we all know, is history. Take 30 seconds, go through the slide, make notes, and ask questions if you have any. 30 seconds, I'll be moving to the next slide, and post that I'll be taking questions for both the slides at one go. Moving to the next slide. Allocation against Manrega has been increased to 48,000 crore from 38,500 crore. This is the highest ever allocation under Manrega. However, let me also tell you one parallel thing which government has started doing is that the geotagging of all the projects under Manrega has been made mandatory. What that is going to do is, because of geotagging, all the corruption which was there in Manrega, it has been reduced significantly. Total allocation for rural, agriculture, and allied sectors is 1,87,223 crores, which is 24% higher than last year. There are going to be more. The government has again embarked on the same theme which it talked about last year. Drip irrigation, and it is talking about per drop more crop. The setup of soil labs is going to be expedited in this financial year, and it is also talking about setting up laboratories at various critical locations to further help the farmers. So this, I think, perhaps answers to somewhat the question of what the government is going to do for the farmers. Yes, the government has not given the 60,000 farm loan waiver, which UPA did in 2009, if I'm not wrong. 1,000 houses for poor by 2019. All the pakka, all the kacha houses, they would be given, they would be changed, they'd be given 1 crore houses. Again, this goes with the promise of housing for all, the scheme to which this government is committed. So the target which they have set is 1 crore houses for the poor by 2019. The safe drinking water to cover 28,000 arsenic and fluoride affected habitations in the next 4 years. I don't know how many of you are aware, but I think there are more than 35-40 districts in India which have this problem of water which is contaminated with arsenic and fluoride. Again, a good welfare step by the government, I must say. 2011 to 2014, the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, the kilometer constructed per day was 73. What has been constructed in 2016-17 is 133. This data is actually a slap on the face of UPA government, that these people have almost doubled the speed at which the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana is being done. And this year, 2017-18, when you talk about the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, again, its provision has been increased by 23 or 24%, which talks about the continuous focus of government on rural infrastructure. Again, please take 30 seconds. Go through the pointers of the slide and ask me questions, if any. Take 30 seconds, ask me questions, if any. After 30 seconds, I'll be reverting to the Q&A mode. "30 seconds, ask questions, if any. Go through the slide, and then I revert back. So the first question comes, money issue gave the loan in 1991. IMF, where the gold was pawned, it gave the loan in 1991. Devraj asked, what is the meaning of 10 lakh crore credit for agriculture? There are priority lending sectors. Devraj, agriculture is one of them, wherein it is mandatory for the financial institutions to give a certain percentage of credit to those sectors. So when you talk about 10 lakh crore credit, this is what the government has set the target for the financial institutions, that they will have to extend this much of credit for agriculture if needed. Number two, how about the U-turn on Manrega from calling it a failed scheme to infusing the biggest fund allocation to it? Can you please explain? Yes, I can explain. Don't be surprised if in next 1.5 years, Manrega is replaced by universal basic income scheme, which is there. At this point of time, with the government is relying on technology to make this work as effectively as possible. Dhruv Gupta, by poor, do we mean people below poverty line? Not necessary. If you don't have any questions, just say no. If you've got a question, say yes and type the question. Go ahead. Ashirwad, I think I have answered your question. You said government seemed to be against Manrega, but still they increased the budget. Why? I already shared with you, at this point of time, they have decided to continue, but they are trying to use technology as much as possible. That answers the question of Anubhav Zarabi. Also, he said that what measures have the government taken to curb corruption? Now, all the works which are being done under Manrega, Anubhav, they have to be geo-tagged for the payment to be released. Geo-tagged means essentially that whatever work has been done, that can be seen through the satellite images sitting at any point of time. So anyone sitting in Delhi or Kashmir or Chennai or Hyderabad can see whether the work has actually been done, yes or no. Prashant Kumar, allocation for rural agriculture sector is about 2 lakh crore, but why this budget is not being considered as a populist budget for farmers and poor? Prashant, this is the misfortune of the country. We are used to having things at any cost except for having to work for something. The government has not given the freebies. That is why it is not being touted as a populist budget for farmers and poor. The government is saying it's a very good budget, addresses their concerns, but again, because there is no dole out, so therefore they say that It is not a populist budget. Pradeep, I will just take a minute. I will show you the slide. Give me a second. Here you go. I've got precisely 30 seconds for you, Pradeep, not more. Anurag Mishra, while using this data in our GDP around, what should we quote as the source of data? Say the budget speech of the finance minister. Say the budget speech of finance minister. Pradeep, I think we need to move ahead. I have already shown the slide once at your request. We can't keep on going back to the slide. I'm sorry for that, but we need to bear with it. Manish, the idea of basic income has been criticized repeatedly. It's a trend in the West. What Indian government is yet to come up, it's just there as an idea. We need to wait till the time it takes some concrete shape. Till that time, it will be very unfair to comment about it. Everyone else, if you've got a question, say yes. Otherwise, and ask the question. Otherwise, say no. 7 continuous no's, and I move to the next slide. Not really, Harshmeet. There were concerns that budget preponement would lead to lesser time to discuss the budget. No. Because the time given to discuss is anyway the same. Anish Govil says no. Good. How many else knows quickly? Akshay says no. Go ahead. Harshita says no. Okay. 3 more no's. So Shubham no. Dhruv no. 2 more no's. No. Anurag says mo. Coincidentally, Anurag, it's something very interesting. I know it's a typo, but let me give you a small bit of trivia. Mo was popularly the name of one of the very famous Telugu writers from Vishakhapatnam. So just a piece of trivia because of this typo. Mo actually was a person. Or Mo was the nickname of a very famous Telugu author. With your permission, now I'm moving to the next couple of slides. Here we go. Health sector, first 2 points. For senior citizens, other cards giving their health condition will be introduced. A great step considering that the senior citizen care in India is one of the worst amongst the developing and developed countries. Second, 2 new All India Institute of Medical Sciences to be set up in Jharkhand and Gujarat. I don't know whether you people are happy or not, but personally, I'm very happy that this budget does not talk about any new IITs and IIMs. I appreciate the government viewpoint that let's first stabilize the present ones and then only move on to the next. At this point of time, having 20 IIMs are more than enough. So a question may arise that this year the government did not announce any more new IIMs. What are your views on this? My simple take, it's a good move by the government. Let us allow the new ones to stabilize first before we go for another one. 3,500 kilometers of railway lines to be put up. Service charge on bookings through IRCTC to go out means that the tickets would be slightly cheaper. Now, rail safety fund with a corpus of 1 lakh crore to be created over a period of 5 years. I think this is a game changer announcement which the government has done. It has come under a lot of criticism recently because of the 3 unfortunate incidents which happened over a period of small time. There has been a lot of hue and cry about the safety. I think this rail safety fund, wherein we talk about 1 lakh crore over a period of 5 years, it's indeed a great welcome move by the government. Another interesting thing, 500 rail stations to be made differently, able friendly by providing lifts and escalators, also good for senior citizens, women, children. A welcome move by the government. A new metro rail policy will be announced. This will open new jobs for our youth. Again, it's highs more than what it says. A new metro rail policy will be announced. The policy is yet to be announced. We cannot commit what it is. FIPB, Foreign Investment Promotion Board, to be abolished. FIPB, I was just doing a little bit of search. FIPB was actually a empowered body that all those FDIs which did not come through the automatic route, they went through FIPB, and then the submission was made to the finance ministry. If it was up to 5,000 crores, more than 5,000 crore FDI, it used to go to the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. This was supposed to be a one window clearance, but the government has again removed even this window. So it will be going through the respective ministries, or I am expecting it would be taken up directly by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Allocation for infrastructure stands at a record 3,96,135 crores. Fantastic move. Please understand, to get 3,96,135 crore in perspective, it includes the railway budget. 50,000 crore is going to be the support of finance ministry, plus whatever railway will be generating through its own. So when we are talking about 3,96,135 crore, if I talk about the broad component, it will be about the railways, it will be about the national highways, it will be about the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana, and it will also be about the coastal roads. The Sagarmala project does not find a mention at this point of time, but this is where they are, where the money is going to be invested. I don't have the data for exact what is the target for the creation of Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. How much kilometer is the overall target, that I'm not aware of. And a point which I shared earlier, that the government to set up strategic crude oil reserves in Odisha and Rajasthan. Rajasthan maybe from the perspective of it being a border area, Odisha from the perspective of it being a coast. This is what the thought might have gone through the mind of the government. Again, I will give you 30 seconds. Everyone, go through these two slides. First 2 pointers for health sector, next 3 in this slide is for railway budget. The next one, the first 2 points are towards railway budget. Third one is about FDI. Fourth is about infra. Fifth is about strategic crude oil resources. Out of the 3,96,135 crore, now I have got the data, 1.31 lakh. 1.31 lakh crore goes to the railways. including 55,000 crore, which will be provided by the government. 64,000 crore goes towards the development of national highways. A lot of state highways are also going to be transformed into national highways. That is what they talk about. 30 seconds. Yeah, 19,000 crore has been made towards the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Again, it is for far-flung habitats, and along with the state's contribution, this may touch 27,000 crores. Let's go back to the face sharing mode and please shoot questions if any. Akshay Tripathi, no new rails announced in this budget. What does this mean? It essentially means that the government is not biting the populist measures, and railways can. This has been the trend for the last 2 years now, that the announcement of railways, they have been delinked from the budget. Devraj shed some light on FIPB role. If you go to Wikipedia, search for FIPB, it categorically talks about that FIPB was an empowered body which was used to clear the foreign direct investments which do not fall under the automatic route. Till almost 5,000 crores, it used to send the proposal to the Ministry of Finance. After that, it used to go to Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs. It has been announced it is going to be abolished. How it is going to be replaced, let's wait for the magic to unfold. Again, if you have got any questions, say yes, ask the question. If you have got no questions, say thank you and say no. If you have got a question, say yes and ask the question. If you don't have any question, just say no. Pankuri asks, what are the FDIs that do not come directly? Pankuri, there are sectors in which FDI is allowed. There are sectors in which FDI is not automatically allowed. However, even if someone wants to go for FDI route in that, they have to go through a government process, and FIPB used to coordinate that process. Manu says no. Thank you, Manu. Anyone else? Yes. Then ask the question. No, then say no. Suchetna asks, how will senior citizens be benefited if their health conditions are stated in their Aadhaar, not understanding the link? Suchetna, the best thing will be that it will help the government and the nearby hospitals keep a track, which will further result in the periodic checkup of these senior citizens. That is how the link is going to be. Pragya says, financial year still begins from April 1, that is, money will be allocated from the same schedule. How does preponement help? Pragya, the way preponement helps is that now the ministries have got complete, bureaucracy has got 2 complete months to plan for everything, so that on 1st of April, it is ready to rule out. Akshay says greenfield investments were governed by FIPB, or is it entirely different? Honestly, Akshay, I don't have an answer to it. I would not like to risk saying wrong things. I don't have an answer to it. I acknowledge. Shubham Singh, by abolishing FIPB, will it have any effect on future FDIs and investor sentiments? Shubham, the answer is no, because FIIs have not pulled out today and the Sensex has gone up. So the answer is no. Pankuri says, kindly elaborate more on point number 25. Just give me a minute. Point number 25, it talks about rail safety corpus. You must be aware of the recent accidents, and there have been a lot of talks. Now there is something called ACD, which is anti-collision devices. Many of the tracks may see having installing of ACD in the coaches. Then we are talking about by 2019 all the railway coaches will have bio toilets, which essentially means that the excreta on the railway tracks will be a thing of the past. So this is what point number 25 refers to. And there are also talks about fencing of Delhi, Mumbai, and Delhi, Kolkata railway tracks. Existing rail network has become obsolete, and asks which needs a complete overhaul. So will the funds be used for this aspect as well? 3,500 new railway lines, maintenance and all is there. The 1 lakh crore provision obviously will go towards a little bit of maintenance, but more about the new technologies which should be brought in. The markets have reacted positively to the budget. They were 600 points up. So monies there is reacted positively. Any other questions? If say otherwise, say no. 5 no's, and I move to the next couple of slides. Thanks, Akshita, for saying no. Let's have 4 or 5 no's on the trot or questions, and then we move. Shubham says no. Okay. Dhruv says no. Great. Any more yes or no? Manu says no. Akshay says no. Maybe the last no. I'm a little greedy. Pankuri, yes. Which are those FDIs which do not fall under the automatic route? Pankuri, it's a long list. I will request you to go to Google and figure that out. It is not possible for me to write out all those lists. Just go to Google and figure that list. So Anish says no, Manish says no. I move to the next slide. The next one. Here comes the digital push. 1.25 crore people have already adopted Bheem app. I'm pretty sure you people would have read about Bheem app. If not, please go and read it properly. A must for the interviews, cases, discussions, and WATs. Second, Aadhaar Pay, an app for merchants to be launched. 20 lakh Aadhaar-based point of sales by 2017. This is the target which the government has taken. Again, a push towards digitalization. Government is considering introduction of new law to confiscate assets of offenders who escape the country. Vijay Mallya and Lalit Modi, I think this is a loud enough message for you. Fall in line, or otherwise we come up next. Congress must be thinking, what more can we corner the government on? Defense expenditure excluding pension at 2.74 lakh crore. Again, one of the highest. Fiscal deficit for 2017-18 has been pegged at 3.2% of GDP. Just reading out what does fiscal deficit mean. And here I quote, when the government's non-borrowed receipts fall short of its entire expenditure, it has to borrow money from the public to meet the shortfall. The excess of total expenditure over the total non-borrowed receipts is called the fiscal deficit. I repeat, when the government's non-borrowed receipts fall short of its entire expenditure, it has to borrow money from the public to meet the shortfall. The excess of total expenditure over total non-borrowed receipts is called the fiscal deficit. So for the financial year 2017-18, it has been pegged at 3.2% of GDP. The next pointers: fiscal deficit target for the next 3 years pegged at 3%. The India's tax to GDP ratio is very low. Out of 3.7 crore who filed tax returns in 2015-16, it's a shame and a sham. But out of 125 crore, only 3.7 crore are filing tax returns. Only 24 lakh people showing income more than 10 lakhs. Cannot be a bigger irony. Of 76 lakh individuals who reported income of over 5 lakh, 56 lakhs are the salaried or the most masoom of the lot who don't have anywhere to go, run and hide. The small firms with turnover up to 50 crore now to pay only 25% tax instead of 30%. An incentive to make them come clean and share their profits. Is it big enough? Only the future will decide. Again, I go through the points. Point number 36 is about the fiscal deficit target. 3% is what they have pegged for the next 3 years. 3.2% is for the next financial year. Then Mr. Jaitley and all these pointers have been trying to put a case as to how people have been evading tax. Again, it goes back to playing the same thing to the sentiments of the people. Why demonetization was a mandatory move, putting some balm to the salaried classes that yes, we acknowledge the contribution which you made, and incentives to small firms with turnovers up to 50 crores to pay 25% tax now instead of earlier being 30%. 2 pointers. One, it makes them feel good. And second, perhaps it's also an incentive for them to come clean. 30 seconds. Again, go back to both the slides. Ask questions if you have any. The next slide. Let's move to the face sharing mode. Shubham, has fiscal deficit reduced in NDA government? The answer is yes. Akshay asks, is tax exemption for small industries lowered from 15 million to 2.5 million? I don't think so. Shubham, the answer is yes. Akshay Tripathi, what could be done to expand the tax net? Digitization is the way forward. More and more digitization means less and less cash in circulation, and that is going to help widen the tax net. Mr. Jaitley was very happy when he shared that by now already 34% jump in the tax collection for the year has happened by direct taxes. It is unparalleled in the history. That is what the government is doing. Any other questions? Just type your question. Otherwise, write no. Say yes and type your question. Otherwise, say no. So Anurag asks, what populist expectations were not catered by this budget? Okay. So Anurag, let me answer it this way. No new trains for the states going to polls. No new trains to the state where you want to make an impact. No railway factories in the respective constituencies of important stakeholders. No farm waiver. No comment about rationalizing the interest rates. No IITs, no new IIMs. No such subsidies like free laptops for students. These were the populist expectations which were not catered by this budget. Shubham Kumar says no. Others, if you have a question, please shoot. Otherwise, type no. Akshay, no. Shubham, no. Devraj, no. Couple of more, no. And I can move ahead. Manish, no. I'm pretty sure you people must be getting late for your dinner. Don't worry, so am I. Couple of more no's and I move to the next slides. Don't worry, I have got only 5-6 more points. Great. So Anurag says no, Akshay says no, Dhruv says no, a lot of no's. So I move to the next slide. Black money. SIT has suggested no cash transaction above 3 lakh. The government has accepted this recommendation. Another big black money, which the government is going to shout at the top of its voice. Maximum cash donation any party can receive will be 2,000, down from 20,000. Political parties will be entitled to receive donations by checks or digital modes. An amendment being proposed to RBI Act to enable the issuance of electoral bonds for political funding. Now, electoral bonds, I must say over here, they're a very interesting concept and they are one of its kind in the world. The experts till now have not been able to come up with any other parallel in the world. Now, the simple thing, the way this bond works is, I want to give donation to a specific party. Now, the moment I give it via check or online transfer, I am identified. I don't want to be identified. So what I can do is I can buy bonds from some specified banks, give it to a party, and I can keep my name anonymous. Each of the registered parties will have a designated account for these electoral bonds. They will go deposit them and get the money converted. So over there also, the onus is not on them to declare who that donor is. So it is helping two ways. One, it is going to help that anyone who's donating, first thing is being made clear that this is coming from a clean source. Number two, because I'm donating anonymously, so I'll also be immune from the threat or fear from other parties, that this is what, when you have done this much to others, why don't you do it to me? So this is a win-win scenario. And don't be surprised if going ahead they say that the only way you can do is now even 2000 cash concept goes for a toss. A cheer for income taxpayers. The income tax rate has been reduced from 10% to 5% for a tax slab, from 2,50,000 to 5 lakh. For the senior citizens, it has been made 3 lakhs. Tax exempt for the senior citizens above 80 lakh, it has been made 80 years, it has been made 5 lakhs. The last two pointers: 10% of surcharge for those whose annual income is from 50 lakh to 1 crore, and 15% surcharge on incomes above 1 crore to continue. Pointers again: black money. All this is about black money, transparency, and income tax. A little bit of balm for people, salaried class. Electoral bond is a new concept, an interesting one. Let's see how it unfolds. The maximum cash donation comes down to 22,000 from 20,000. Amendment to RBI Act is on the cards. Surcharge of 10% for those whose annual income is between 50 lakh to 1 crore, and 15% surcharge on incomes above 1 crore to continue. Let's go back to face sharing mode. Questions, if any. Please shoot questions. Whatever questions you have, please go on shooting. Point 34 did not understand. What is point 34? You're too back, dear. Was it 34 or 44 which you're talking about? Akshita, are you talking about point number 44? Electoral bonds? Say yes or no. I'm waiting for questions. Akshita, my question to you is, did you say point number 34 or 44? If you don't have questions, say no. If you have questions, say yes and type the question. Shubham Kumar asks, what are the benefits of electoral bonds? Shubham, the benefit of electoral bonds, if I talk about, it is going to be one, it will bring more transparency. Two, it will mean the donor remains anonymous. Three, it will mean that it also sets the path that in the coming times, and yeah, the most important thing, it ensures that the money is coming from clean sources. Anyone who buys that electoral bond actually has to give the proof, because you're buying it from a designated bank, which essentially means that you have to give your proof of income, which means that the money is coming from clean sources and no dirty money is being involved. Three, the donors can remain anonymous, which is good for their well-being also. Lastly, this may set the context that in the coming times, even the 2000 cap on cash transaction, which is there, that may be made to zero. What about more funds to PSU banks and NBFCs? So 10,000 crore has been committed towards the recapitalization of public sector banks, Ashirwad. And what is happening is since the government spend is going up, so naturally there is going to be more lending, and that is why the banks and NBFC their shares have shot today. Any more questions? Please shoot. Otherwise, say no. Any more questions? Please shoot. Otherwise, say no. Okay, I presume there are no more questions. Then, oh, great. Now I've got some series of questions coming my way. Good. Just give me a minute. Let me go. There was a proposal about merging all oil and gas companies. The question from Akshay, no, there was no such proposal. Ankita asks, sir, the presumptive tax limit, is it related to Sugam or Form ITR 4X of the Income Tax Act? So the entire thing has been now related to Sugam. You will have just one form which is there. Anish, how the government be able to maintain fiscal prudence considering increased expenditure with GST not being rolled out? Anish, again, you are underestimating what the government is expecting to reap the windfall from the tax evaders. That is what it is going to be. Plus, the government is also expecting that GDP will be going up, and there has been talks about divestment also, that from there the government plans to mop up some money. Suchetna, please show the last slide. I'll be doing that. Just wait for a couple of minutes. What else? Actually, I think I have answered it twice. How will electoral bonds increase transparency? The simple thing is transparency, rule number one. The person who's buying the electoral bonds has to give the proof of his or her own income. That means the money is coming from the clean sources. Second, it is not a cash, so it is accounted for in the system. Third, I'm saying again and again, we never know that going ahead, this may be the way of giving donations about to the political parties. Devraj, the integrated oil PSU, which is to be set up, announced today. Devraj, I could not find anything. I need to check and get back to you. But there is absolutely no proposal of merging all oil and gas companies, that I'm sure about. Here you go, Suchetna. Pankuri, there has been no tax below income of 2,50,000. Now 5% tax is still what tax slab? It is still 5 lakh tax slab. So 2,50,000 to 5 lakh, the tax rate present was 10%. It has to be 5% now. Actually, then I have missed it. I have not seen it anywhere. to combine 13 state-run oil majors to create 100 billion conglomerate. I missed it. Can more tax rebates be expected in the future because of demonetization? Honestly, no. The government will, at this point of time, try to use that money more for the poor and infrastructure than giving it back to the salaried class. So whatever they have given, I don't think anything more can be expected over there. Specific reform for IT industry, probably not that I could figure out. Will the electoral bonds be applicable in UP elections? The answer is no. Shubham, the answer is no. It requires changes in amendment in RBI Act, which has to be passed through both the houses. So at this point of time, the answer is no. It will not impact. Any more questions? Now, anything at all from all the slides which you want to ask, please go ahead. Next 5 minutes is when we may like to wrap this up. Any more questions? Otherwise, just type say no. Any more questions? Otherwise, just say no. The last 2-3 minutes, whatever questions you have, please shoot. Akshay says no, okay. Mani says name. I'm assuming that to be no. After this budget, there might be some advantage to the BJP government. So what are the possible things SP government will do in UP elections? It is going to shout loud and hoarse that there was nothing specific for UP. These people are not concerned about it. They should have deferred the presentation of the budget. They have not done anything for the youth. We are going to give free laptops. They have not done anything for women. We are going to give them free maternity benefits, blah, blah, blah. This is what SP government can do. I will not say will do because I'm not their campaign advisor. Anish Gobil, what are the areas where the government might have missed their focus? A good question. The government might have done something to assuage the feelings of the IT sector, which the government has not done because of the Trump effect thing. There is a lot of commotion going on there. The government could have also done something for the apparel sector to make it more affordable. For the in the education sector, the government could have come up with a few new proposals, but I think that there are already n number of proposals, and the problem here is that of implementation. So I will not say that in this anything specific has been missed out in education sector. Prabhalin asks, can you explain the reform in carpet area and built up area? I don't know. I don't know, probably. All that I know is carpet area and built up area is there in the real estate, and maybe the government would have said that there would be one specific rule by which you need to define the built up area compared to carpet area, but not that which I have read. So let me be clear about it. Any more questions, please? Probably saying there was something. Okay, I have not read it. Maybe once I read, I can get back to you. Anything else? I'm just typing anyway on the second system if there is something which they have come up with. Manish, comments on defense budget. The allocation has been hiked. The focus is on transparency. Already a committee on defense acquisition has been set up. It has submitted its report only 7 days ago to the ministry. So you may see many more acquisitions and modernization in the coming time. That is all it is. Shubham, considering H1B visa, what changes are possible which IT sector may implement? The IT sector will have to change its business model. This is not my comment. This has been said by NASSCOM chairman that IT sector needs to relook at its entire business model. So that is what IT sector needs to do. Any more questions? Any other questions? Please shoot. Otherwise, we are overshooting the time. Thank you very much for joining. I hope to my best of ability, I have answered whatever I could. Any questions? Thank you so much, everyone. It was lovely being here. Thank you so much. And wish you all the best for the interviews which are lined up shortly and which are lined up longly. Thank you, everyone. Wish you all the best. May God be with you and may you achieve success. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Here we stop the broadcast. Thank you.